Alright, we're here today with this Dodge truck, a little V6. Pretty much the same as all your 5.9, your 5.2, minus one cylinder's worth of work on unplugging stuff. We're just going to show you how to take the motor out, pretty much take this whole truck apart. It's kind of what its purpose is here. Well, I do want to show you it is a starting and running and driving truck. So definitely a noisy running driving truck, but we're going to go ahead and kind of just show you how to get to the basics here. I've taken one step and done it already, and that was remove the hood, which is 2 bolts. Very simply, if you're doing it by yourself, leave the bottom bolt on and do the top 2 bolts first, then while holding the hood up and do your bottom ones. Makes it a little easier. And then I have this little handy dandy guy that I use, that I kind of made here myself, with just a piece of metal with a couple of bolts welded on it here. And this is what I use to hold my fan in place while I put my crescent wrench on and break it loose. I've already done that step, so you guys get to miss me doing it. But we'll continue on with the video here and show you how to disassemble and undo everything else. So now we're just going to undo a couple of hoses, get this thing ready to go so I can take the engine out. Of course, I hit pause every now and again. You notice the air cleaner's already off. Somebody had that thing all jerry-rigged on there. I don't want to show you guys me fighting stuff. And on this box here, they fight a little bit too. So if you put like a screwdriver in one side, pull out on the other, and then lift up, you see these 2 little things right here? They just kind of fall in place, and that's what holds them in. You can set this up out of your way now. Try not to make a big mess. We come over here to the other box. Very similar, just kind of lift up on it. It's got one little doodad that holds it in place, and you can just completely remove that one and set it off out of your way. Then we come over to the fan shroud, which has your four bolts, 2 on each side. We're going to hit pause while I take this, and I've already broken my fan loose, so I'm going to take these 2 off. You guys get the idea on how that works. Very simple. I forgot to mention here too, once you pull your bolts out of this, you can't just lift it up. You have to take the fan loose inside of it and lift the 2 of them out together. Alright, so now that that's removed, you've got plenty of room to work on stuff. Next step is you want to take your AC off. Most people don't want to recharge it or redo anything with it, period. We're going to go ahead and just remove it. Get it moved up out of our way a little bit here. That last one apparently you can't put the impact on. It needs to be loosened up enough anyway. Loosen that up. Pull the back few bolts. Keep your fronts together. Pull. Helps to release the tension first, but not needed if you're just literally taking the engine out. Pull her off a little bit forward. Bolt snaps off. Good to move your junk. Do your wire harness too, apparently. There we go. And you can set this just kind of down here on the frame, about where your bottom radiator hose is. As you get it up out of your way. And the next step is to go along and remove your hose and all your accessory wires. You gotta take your 13mm here, you gotta do your hoses here. And then you get to do all the wire clips. Generally I put the bolts back in so I don't lose them, but since that one hit the ground and I'm just literally demonstrating a motor pull out, I'm not concerned about it today. Follow all your lines, your alternator, everything here. And start pulling everything loose. You got your throttle position sensor, your idle controls, your distributor. You got your oil pressure in the very back, don't forget that one. You got all these injectors you have to do. Now let's pull your vacuum lines while you're at it here. You got your fuel line, which you have a little specialty tool I do use for these. To take off, I'll show you guys that little plastic guy in a few seconds here. Sure, get all these other wire clips done. As you see, there's really not too many tools needed. Apparently this one was broken, so somebody jerry-rigged it in there. Do all your vacuum too. Make sure you do everything off of the top of this motor. Those little plastic clips always break. Little red parts, don't worry about that. They hold right back on when done. More vacuum lines. You got some body grounds you have to undo, and the alternator, which somebody has wired up very oddly here. So we're gonna hit pause on this. I'm gonna undo their wiring, this bolt and that, and then I'll get underneath this thing and show you guys what you gotta undo. And then we're pretty much ready to take it out, so it shouldn't be too much longer. Alright, now that we're back here, I wanted to show you guys the oil sensor, because everybody always forgets this guy. It's tucked way back in here. I don't even know if you guys can see it in this dark video, but my hand goes back here on it, and I can feel it. And then I lift that bad boy up. You see, you got to make sure you get that, there we go, we can finally see it. Get that end up. Don't forget about the oil sensor. I know it's dark, there we go. Arm was blocking it. But it's in the very back, it's hard to get to, it's more by feel than anything. But don't forget about that. Oops, sorry. Don't forget to undo your heater hose. Alright, I crawled underneath the truck. I'm going to fast track you guys through what to do here, so we don't have me shaking you around and dropping you in the motor anymore, on my face or wherever. But here is basically the gist of it. Lots of plugs and then some bolts. This one somebody recently replaced, obviously. We got this one here, as soon as it's removed. You can see the upper plug there. That one you have to squeeze the sides in on to remove it. These literally pop out like so. Once again, it's got a little back piece here. You have to pull it and then it should slide up. Of course, I'm doing it by hand. I'm just going to show you that it slides up. You have your linkage and everything to do, the tranny here. But we're worried about just the motor on this one. This is for doing the whole everything. So we're gonna scoot back here a little bit, and your starter has a bolt here and one up in the very top up here. You gotta pull those out and get that out of your way. Loosen up this one that's already missing out of my truck and the one here. Take off your dust shield bolts. Then you come out here to the other side. You do have to take the oil filter off. You do have a bolt behind it. Same thing. Loosen up the one that's actually here on this side. Let this take this one out. It drops. Remove your dust shield, and there's going to be 4 bolts. I'll show you a little bit more on that one here in a few minutes. But I want to show you the back side, to where you have to take the rest of your bolts out of the back of the transmission to remove your engine. There's one up here on the top. I don't know if you guys, let me try to get this thing in here where I can see it. You can see it. There's one here. Then we have one down right here below the dipstick. And that's it for this side. Now we have the same 2 bolts in the same places on the other side. So I'm going to show you those, and then we're going to hit pause. I'll take all the bolts out and then show you how to do that torque converter a little easier. As you can see here, we're spinning around underneath the truck, so getting dizzy. We got the 2 up here that hold the fuel lines in. Right here's the one, and there's the other right below it. I don't know if you guys can see them or not. Trying to work with this phone is not cool. But anyway, I'll once I pull the motor out, I'll show you exactly where they're at. But you guys can see the fuel line here coming down, and it's on a plate that has 2 bolts on it. So even if you can't see it in my video, you will in person. Alright, well, we pulled the oil filter and the 17 or 16 millimeter bolt behind it. My exhaust was cut off. I most time wouldn't do anything other than take your 2 bolts off and let it drop. That'll generally hold your transmission up. Since mine was cut off like literally like right here at my tranny pan, it's not going to hold anything. So I have a ratchet strap running across from frame here to hold my transmission up in this case. So generally you don't have to worry about that, but like I said, there is that bolt right here that's behind the oil filter. You have one on the other side that I have not removed yet, just to show you that they try to hide. And then I was going to show you guys how I've already taken these off of the back side. They're pretty easy to get to, as long as you got some extensions. And the little next thing was the 14 millimeters on the torque converter. What I most time do is I pick this one here on the end, and I'll bring it up to where you're in this area right here. Then you can put your socket on it and use the block itself to pry without it moving on you. It'll hold itself. Once you get that one out, you come back over here with your 14 millimeter wrench, and you grab on your flywheel and you spin this one over to that same position, and you just do that repeatedly, and then that's it. So we're pretty much done here. The only thing I have left to do are pull out the motor mount bolts themselves and the 4 torque converter bolts, and then I'll show you guys where I hook up my chains and generally just pull it out. So I got my chains hooked up. I wrap them around the exhaust, one on each side, so you pick it up in opposites. It picks up fairly evenly. Loosened up my motor mounts. As soon as I get a little tension on the motor like it is right now, those bolts just slide right out. And I almost forgot to show you guys the little plastic doodad that I used for doing the fuel lines. And you just literally jam the thing in, kind of twist it around a little bit. And of course this one's going to fight because I'm doing it on video. And then you get the other side in, if you're lucky.
Well, generally these things actually work out really nicely and pop right off. Today is not the case. So we're gonna, there we go. Just kind of work them in. Once they're in, you can feel them kind of snap in. Just pull your line off. So there you go. Now we're gonna go ahead and jack the engine up and bring it up so you get the visual effect of it, I guess. Oh, and we almost forgot one last thing. Transmission lines. There's a spot right here that has a little holder. You can either take the 2 bolts out, or you can snap your line down and then the other one snaps up and pop them out of the way. Either or, whatever works for you. Once you get the motor up, it's going to get pretty high up there. Fortunately, that's a little higher than I planned on. Alright. Well, I think we hit pause for a second there, but I forgot to pull that bolt out that I showed you guys. Don't forget, and it kind of hides. So I can crawl back underneath there and pull the bolt. Now the engine's loose, so you can actually pull it out now. It's not a day working on vehicles if you don't forget a bolt or mess something up. Just remember that. I'm sure there's something else we're apparently stuck on here. We do have an actual helper here today. Seems to be missing in action. Well, let's see what we can figure out what we're hanging up on here. Something on the side where the video camera lady's at, but
right here.
Apparently don't put your heater line underneath your chain either. You can make you cut it. Like I said, it's not a good day working on vehicles unless something will go wrong. If it all goes right, well, something went wrong. It's a matter of moving things out of the way now, the hoses and all the stuff that I don't like to take off because it probably saves me time. But we're all free and clear now. Everything's loose. All I have to do is pull it forward and out. And we do have a spark plug wire around our wiring harness here. All things you got to keep an eye on as you're pulling it out. You don't mess other things up. Everything's loose, everything's loose. Pull wiring harness down now. Straight. Try not to smack into your radiator, obviously. And that's it, you're home free.